Hello, it's Eve. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm showing you a sketchbook tour. This is a Art Creations, Talon's Art Creations cork covered sketchbook with white paper in the size, I think it's quite A5. It is, however, 13 centimeters by like 21 centimeters. Now, I have a sketchbook tour of the A4 version, which I'll link up in the box, and it will be down in the description as well. Because I enjoyed that sketchbook so much, I actually bought quite a few of these. I think I have 3 more this size, another one that's A4, and I have a smaller version that I bought. I don't remember if you saw it in the last art haul or if it's in the next one, I can't remember, but this size, which is like 9 by 14, which I haven't broken into yet. So the great thing about this one I bought around about the time of my birthday in February, so it's lasted me all of February, March and April, and I just thought I'd take you through it because I know I'm not an artist, so I don't fill my sketchbooks with beautiful pictures. They are filled with everything. As you can see, this is like scribble from when I added white ink to my Ecoline brush pens, and then I also modified the colours more, and I was just trying to waste the ink to get the colour to come through. We have some swatching. These were the original Lightfast, Derwent Lightfast. This is a mini palette of mine, which I think there might be a video for this one, I'm not sure. This was, yeah, so I did buy this on the 3rd of February, which was my birthday, and we went to the art shop, and then we went to a little local place and sat down, and I drew David. He was reading a book and doing research. I really like this drawing. It might be one of my favorites. I find that when I draw in like low light, that I like what I create better than when I draw in full daylight, which sounds weird, I know, but it just, because I can't see the page completely, I can't be so precious about it. Some of the ones that I do upstairs in bed, right before bed, with the light, like the bedside lamps on, and I can't see properly what I'm doing, I actually quite like those as well. Then this was for Sophie, my niece's special book. I made her like a card, which I cut up into a snake. I'll insert a video or a photo if I can find it, but I was playing around with the different colors and thinking this is a character that she loves called, I don't even remember who it's called, but when she was in the hospital, I was thinking of ideas of what I could do for her, so I was mocking up some ideas. I didn't end up going with this in the end. This, I believe, was for the how I use color pencils video, which I did for Susan in Arizona. All the videos related to pages in the sketchbook I will link in the description below so you can see them. But this one I was showing the difference between, so we had the 3 different colors: Luminance, Polychromos, Derwent Lightfast, and 3 darks, and then this was them over or with white Posca on top and then under, and so on and so forth. And I was just experimenting with the layers to see how the pencil changed based upon the layer that was under it or over it. So I recommend you do that with your materials so you can get to know them better. Then I did 2 drawings. I believe this was based off a photo in Natasha Newton's Patreon. I'm no longer in that Patreon. I have culled a whole bunch, but this was with a Tombow brush pen, pencils over the top. It took me 10 minutes. This one was with gouache on the base and then pencils on top. See my little scarecrow there. And this one took me 25 minutes, and this was just a couple of days after my birthday. This was where I was experimenting for my Paganol Tilda palette. So again, I'll link that one. So I was experimenting with different colors, which I pulled the information from my A4 sketchbook, which again I'll link below, and came up with, I was doing color mixes basically to see what I could get from the colors that I had shortlisted. So there's quite a few pages of that. And then this is for weaving that I'm working on using a Starry Night fiber pack. As you can see, I use my sketchbook for everything. It's not just like a place for perfect drawings. This was from Acrylic Month, which was in February. Just experimenting to see whether I could get texture on because this isn't a cold press paper, this is like a hot press paper. It's like really smooth, so I wanted to see if I could create texture. This was drawings uptown that I did at a place called Cafe Bronx in the town where I live, and again this was from a book. I don't even know what happened there. This was the synagogue. I stood by the side of it and drew this in just 2 colors, raw umber 10% and the dark indigo, and the raw umber I'd actually just bought from Van Beek that day. This one was from the cover of a book that I'd also picked up that day. These are marigold, these are gouache. Marigold, Naples yellow plus dark green, and this is Naples yellow. Okay, so I was experimenting with mixes. I think it started to rain again, sorry for the noise. This was a pub that we met at, David and I, and he was late, so I drew the little room. Derwent drawing pencils, I don't know, this is 13th of February. I don't quite know why I drew them out. Is it because I'd ordered more in order to get the full set maybe? This was the bedroom looking across at David's shirts, and there was a bottle of water. So we have like an empty wine bottle. It's got this kind of like crystal finish, and he uses it as a water bottle. I don't quite know. The only reason I know what I'm looking at is because of the rail with his work shirts on and his suit bag. Acrylic month disaster. This was a screenshot of my niece at the hospital. She had a hedgehog on her head. That's me. The 21st of February. She was in a very serious condition, an accident on the 1st, so it was nice to be able to see her in a video call. Acrylic month, I love this piece, one of my favorites. There is a video for acrylic month. This was Imagine a Moment. I don't know, this was the 15th, so it's the day after Valentine's. This is Tombows, this is Inktense. So I believe with this one I just put brush pens down and then pencil over the top, and this one I wetted the Inktense block, no, the Inktense pencil and scribbled. I think I was playing with texture that month in Katie Moody's Patreon, so that might be why I did this, but I don't recall it, and it looked, I don't know. I mean, I quite like the texture I've created here, and this is nice, the two different colors, like the green with the like burgundy on top. It's like a burgundy-ish color. This was the Sketchbook Time Natasha Newton replay from August 2023, but I did it on the 17th of February. Derwent drawing pencils, layering them up. Quite like that. It's not exciting, but it's all right. Tombow swatching. I'm always swatching to try and understand my supplies. This was a Sarah Dyer video. These were the new Pentel pastels that I got for Oil Pastel Month in March. Disaster. There's a video for that. Marker kit. That's what I was carrying around with me in terms of my markers. These are like the Faber-Castells, the Ecolines, and the Tombows. And then these were the acrylic markers, but that didn't last long. Mostly because I made myself a pen roll. There's a video for that too. I was exhausted, as you can see. This was the 21st of February. My current pencil kit, the suppliers I was using at the time. I love this one, David eating a pizza. I really wanted to do this with you on a live call, but he was nervous and shy of having his photo there, so he won't let me do it. Bless him. So I'll have to find a different photo. Experimenting with trees, not doing a very good job. This is one that I did in bed. So when I said earlier at the start of this video that I quite like my work when I do it at night because I can't be too precious about it, this is one of those occasions. So it's the Eileen Donnan Castle. It's from my like Great Britain book. It's very narrow, like it doesn't have a lot of pages, but it has some great photos in there. And all three of these were from that. I did this on the evening before and then these the next day. And it came out, you know, it's nothing magic, but it's better than what I expected. This is another from Acrylic Month. This was using acrylics, and then the dots and the lines are using acrylic markers on top. This was some sketching with a pen uptown. The sun came out in late February, and so I added some, I think I was using my Sailor Fude pen because of the different line widths, thicknesses, and these were just people sitting near us that I surreptitiously tried to draw. This is David sitting there reading a book. None of my drawings of David look like David, just in case you're wondering. There's only one, and that's in my first ever sketchbook that I showed here on YouTube. I don't know what happened here. I was trying to do something. Let me just have a sip of my coffee. Sorry, I realised I'd been talking for 10 minutes and was quite thirsty. My coffee's getting cold. I think this was something from a Natasha Newton that I started, didn't like because there's no contrast, it's just like a bit bleh. And so I then went and came back to the page later when I was swatching out and mixing colours. This is a live call with Sarah van Dongen, Hands, in February. I'm not actually a full member of her Patreon at the moment because hers is one of the more expensive ones I'm in, and I've needed to cut back on those expenses to make sure that I'm not spending money on stuff I'm not making use of because of the work that I've got at the moment. I've got quite a hectic schedule, so it didn't make sense to stay in. But I really enjoyed this session, drawing hands and hands with birds. These were quite sweet. This was from the Hidden Palestine Sarah Dyer session, end of the month. One of the birds. I turned up quite late, I think that must be only that I managed to do. Messinelli oil pastels I swatched out for the Oil Pastel Month March. These are the De La Ranis, the really old ones. This you will have seen if you saw my Oil Pastel Failure Month. I'm feeling inspired to try again, but we'll see. I'm probably not for a few months. Again, more drawing uptown. I made David get a haircut because he looked like a sloth with really long hair, and he kept saying, I need to go to the barbers, I need to go to the barbers, and then he didn't. So I was like, dude, come on. And I marched him uptown and I went into the barbers with him, and they were like, oh, and I was like, I need an appointment for him, and they were like, oh, we can only do 5:30. I was like, that's fine, I'll bring him back at 5:30. And he went in, and they sprayed like this aftershave on him as we were leaving, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. I went back to get it for him as a treat, and it was like 120 euros. I was like, yeah, I'm not buying that, sorry. So I'm not spending €120, so a bit of like a small bottle of aftershave. This was a couple of days ago. I was really frustrated and having a bad art day, so I did this, and it's another bad art piece. I'm going to, when I say bad art, I'm talking subjectively, me evaluating my work, because I know that my skill set has improved with all the work I've been doing. I also am aware that you can't not have a bad day when it comes to drawing, like it just happens. So an earlier video, somebody criticized me for saying that I shouldn't say my work is bad. I believe that my work is often more bad than good. That is fine for me to say that, and I do not mean to deter anyone from having a go themselves, or to say that if you, whoever's watching this right now, feels that your work is worse than mine, and I say mine is bad, that doesn't mean I think yours is bad and that yours is bad. That's not the case. It's just my personal feelings, which are subjective to the art that I am creating. Okay, just to clarify. This was because I went and looked at Emma Lefebvre. I was like, Emma Lefebvre always has stuff that you can follow along to. So I typed in, she had a turtle. Didn't want to do the turtle picture she had, so I went and found one, tried it, hated it, gave up. So that was in April, because I had this blank page for some reason. Glorious Britain. Again, that's a back cover photo. I think that's Neo Colour and Tombow brush pens. Imagination. Oil pastels. So you can see it's the same thing, but I attempted it in oil pastels. This, I don't know what I was. Again, sometimes I'm just like, brain's not working. Tried some collage, hated it. When I was at fashion school, my tutor was like, oh, you should try collage. I'm like, I'm pretty sure collage is not my thing. She's like, it might really loosen you up. I hate collage. I'm not a collage artist. This was me drawing it from here, but made up. So this was made up. Like, I made up that visual, like a still life setting. And then I developed it into even more made up stuff. I don't think I'm very good at made up stuff. David sitting in bed reading, me trying to draw him reading. Quite like that. I like it because I can't tell quite what's going on. Like, I have to stop, my eyes have to pause and look. Yeah. More experimenting. This is recent, like I did this a few days ago. This was the Holbein pencils that I had that I clearly swatched out for some reason. Don't know why. But these are different base layers, and then I put, I don't even know what they are. Oh, I do, look, Holbein flesh base, and then this is the Blackwing, the Luminance, the Polychromos, the Derwent Inktense, the Derwent Lightfast, the Holbein Derwent Colourfast, and the Derwent Drawing. So these are all on top of the Holbein flesh base. This the same again on top of Polychromos, on top of Luminance, on top of Drawing, Derwent Drawing on top of Lightfast. So just trying to see again how the different materials, because obviously colour pencils are made from different mediums. Like, you have an oil base, you have wax base, you have a combination base, and seeing how they interact. It's really good to do this on an ongoing basis to really know your materials. This is the 17th of March, a drawing done during a Sarah Van Dongen live call on Zoom. I think it's the one where we were mixing two images. So we had one and then we had another one. I didn't really understand what we were supposed to be doing, so I ended up spreading across about 5 different sketchbooks. This is one of them that I did. I don't know what I'm looking at. I feel like that's a whale or a dolphin, but actually it's a bridge. I don't know. This felt like a really unsuccessful session. This was just a few days ago. What's the date today? We're on the 25th. So this was again that whole like, I'm going to try my pencils in different ways. So this was Polychromos by itself on the plain white page. This is on top of a Tombow marker, and just looking, because Molotow marker. I was going to say because it's doing something different. Molotow markers, the different acrylic markers work in different ways. So you get a different kind of like resist happening, and I was looking at the different textures. What I should have done and haven't is maybe put my Tombow over the top just to see how the pencil is going to resist and how the Tombow will soak into the acrylic marker underneath, because the Molotows I find like still can absorb a bit more, whereas this is the Posca, Polychromos on top of Posca. Maybe I should do the same there as well. And then this one is Polychromos on top of Tombow. Tombow is always like a much more bright, vibrant finish for me. I really like using my Tombows. I've just recorded a clip for an art haul at some point, but I picked up this in town today. It's a beautiful colour. Since I've got you here, I'll show it to you quickly. It's like a really lovely mint. I'm really enjoying the Tombows recently, which is why my collection is quite vast. Tombows and pencils. This was a boat picture. Did the same thing again with my Peg and All palette and pencils on top. Oil pastel with the Pentals, I think that was. And then this was Posca with the Pit Oil pencil on top. I'm really loving, you'll see an example in a minute. I'm loving the Pit Oil pencil in the sketchbook at the moment. Neo Colour 2s. And then this was, I briefly joined Ella Ruth's Patreon. I wanted it for the visual images. Sometimes I just want to open up Patreon and get a visual. And she does themed mints. So she's done an India mint, but I've accidentally cancelled that. I need to get back into it. But this was a fisherman subject photo reference image from the 16th of February. I did it on the 23rd of March. These are the colours that I used. I did not do a very good job of it, but that's fine, because when I'm following like a Patreon of someone new to me, because I literally saw her work on Instagram, I was like, oh, I like this. I went across to her her profile, saw she had a Patreon, went across and joined, and then binged a little bit. But I always struggle when I'm just getting used to that person. This was an experiment. I wanted to draw. When I was little, we used to have like a little brook. We used to have this swing hanging down, and you used to like put your leg over and you used to swing back and forth. That's what this thumbnail is, and then different versions of thumbnails, and then this, yeah, well, we won't go into that then. Combos as values. So I did an experiment looking at, so this month March has been, no, April, sorry, has been all about like value. So here I had high value, mid value A, mid value B, and low value, to make sure that you've got the balance, because you might think like this one and this one and this one is like strong, medium, but actually, or like vice versa. I'm waffling, sorry. So this was a lot of experimentation for that, to try and get my hit and my understanding on point. So you can see there are numbers underneath, and I'd scribbled them out and all that malarkey. And this says final Tombow setup. It's not, that's not accurate at all, because stuff changes. This was in March, playing with values to understand what you're doing after watching a Sandy Hester video. I'll link that video down below because I've mentioned it before. Got to link it. I know I forgot to link it, so I'll do that. But just experimenting. Then the same here. I got my Peg and All palette out, and I did like color mixes with my Peg and All palette, and then I took the numbers underneath are like my idea of what the value is. I can't get a really strong value with the Peg and All palette based upon the colors that are in there, which was to be expected because it's a pretty palette rather than like a high contrast palette. But I didn't want to waste the swatches, so I did little doodles over the top. And then this was more of the same. This is thumbnailing actually. This is another Ella Ruth Patreon session. The little thumbnail for different water ideas, and then actually sketching one out. This was at a hospital appointment, waiting around. And this was, you might have seen this because that's the day that I went and picked up more art supplies when I wasn't supposed to. Again, this is adding white to eco lines. You can see, so this was the original. This is with the drops added. I didn't mess with these two because I like them as is, and also the pink beige and the grey, I didn't mess with those either. But this had been like a pack of 10 that I had gotten a couple of years ago now. It's supposed to be like the fashion set, but I never used these, and so I added white, and we have these. And then I actually added, about a week ago, I modified the colors further because the white didn't really, so this is the first time I swatched them. And after like the colours had sat in the pen, this is the second time I swatched it a few weeks later. And then about a week ago, I actually mixed the colours up with inks I already had in my cupboard. And now I've got like a selection of colours that I quite like. More swatching. This I think was the Holbein watercolours that I shared with you in an art haul. Yeah, it is, because that's the lavender. So these are all transparent. The lavender was not, that was semi-opaque. But there's a video for that one. This was a process video that I uploaded back in late March using Tombow brush pens and then pencils on top. I enjoyed doing that. It was nice and chill. Don't think it's very exciting. I don't think any of my work is very exciting. I'm still trying to find what it is that makes me excited. Love the orange. We know I love the orange. I think I have a problem with darks. I like light and vibrancy, I think, but I'm still figuring that out. This was Polychromos What's on My Desk whilst listening to an Emma Carlisle session. So I just drew with Polychromos pencils. This was an Emma Carlisle live session. It was a self-portrait session, and hang on, I need more coffee. Sorry, I made coffee because I needed it and then I haven't drunk it. So this was a live session, and it's the first time I'd ever done a self-portrait since my GCSE art and design in 1996. So it was quite a fun experiment. This was 15 minutes. I used a prepped page and then Posca, Polychromos and Neo colour on top. I sent them afterwards to my dad and he laughed and laughed and laughed. This one was 15 minutes. This is the dark indigo Polychromos and the beige red, the one that's like a really pretty pink colour. 132, Polychromos 132. I've given myself a few chins there. I'm not sure if I have that many chins, but I quite like, even though I look like I've got wonky eyes and I look like I'm really cross. I don't know. My dad thinks that one looks more like me. I'm not so sure. This one looks a bit sour faced. So I don't know. This was a prepped page, Ecoline, Polychromos and Neo colours. That one was 20 minutes. It was a great fun session. I'll probably revisit it again at some point, but more swatching. This was the day I went light fast. You would have seen this because I did this on video, I think. This was just using a prepped page and doodling random stuff on top of it, the cat peeking out. This was again working with low and high values and composition. Emma Carlisle's Patreon, she has a session where she talks about something that's small, something that's medium and something that's large. Small, medium, large, and then playing around with the size of them on the to get the composition more interesting. I don't think it was very successful. I quite like this, but anyhow. Prep page unused, prep page unused, prep page unused. These were more just experimenting with texture, layering Posca underneath and then stuff on top, and then Posca pen back on top to see what kind of textures I could get. Same here, this was like a version of I wanted to put like a little swing hanging down and somebody sitting on it and swinging over the water. This was me putting my materials into tonal value, again from an Emma Carlisle session. Boats, again, I think this was Emma Carlisle session, or Sandy Hester playing with value, thinking about how to invert, because the Sandy Hester video, she was like, if you've got the darker value around the outside, then it can work to push the lighter value forward or push it back, like different ways that you can use value to get the effect that you want and direct the viewer's eye. This was the negative space replay, 15 minutes on negative space and then 5 minutes on the details. This was fun. It was a replay, and then this was blocking in the color and then line on top. This was adding in shadow after. They're terrible, fully appreciate that, but it was a good exercise. This is a silly little narrative cartoony thing, storyline that I did with David. It was quite funny because he's like always obsessed with the poetry project he's working on, and I'm obsessed with like art. So we've gone to sleep, and then I'm like, David, and we're drinking coffee the next morning. I'm like, David, I'm so excited. And he's eating his biscuit and he's thinking, and I'm sitting here with my sketchbook and I'm like, ooh, narrative, perspective, value. And he's thinking. And then I'm saying to him, David, what do you see right now? He's thinking. Welcome to Warwick Castle. Ooh, Guy of Warwick. This is all related to his poetry. And he's like, oh, all he thinks about is his poetry. And he's like, oh, all she thinks about is art. And then we're wearing t-shirts. Mine says art lover and I'm drawing. And he's got a book and he's reading poetry. And we have a heart between us. It's really silly. But I just love it so much. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have shared that. This was about a week or so back, a live session with Sarah Dyer, Bologna Zoom session, 30 minutes on each. I enjoyed those. I like my little dog peeking around the corner. I definitely think my style is more illustrative than realism. I'm not really a realistic person. This was from our call on the 20th, the Saturday last week. So we chose the test draws. We did 20 minutes and on the session, and then I did 20 minutes after. That's still up. I'm not going to delete it. It's just under the live tab on my channel. If you want to watch it and like work along, then the photos are up there at the same time, so you can do that. I quite like this now. What I like about it is I can see how, if I didn't have the pencil background, I can see how I could make this into an actual, like a painting, if that makes sense. I really like all this texture. Let me bring it closer so you can see. Can you see how I've like laid up the different, so I started with the brown Posca, and then I've put something else on top, and then I've put green Posca on, and then I've smushed in like pencil, and I really like this. I really like this kind of effect if this was done better, and I can see how this could be like a really cool painting potentially, but we'll see. This was more playing around. Oh, this was because I have different, it was based from here. I have different acrylic markers. I have one Liquitex pink, a couple of Molotovs, and quite a few Poscas. And so what I did is I just took the time to like put other materials on top. So we've got Derwent drawing pencil here. This is the Mars Orange. Derwent Lightfast Inktense pencils, but I also, oh, that's Inktense pencils. This is Inktense blocks. I thought I also made those water out as well, but clearly I didn't. So this is the Inktense blocks watered out. This is the Chroma Flow. This is a soft pastel. Then we have the Holbein Polychromos Luminance Neocolor 2 watered out, and then oil pastels, and the line going over all of them is my black wing, to see how then the third layer, like, can I draw with my black wing pencil over the top of these mediums, which are already over the top of the acrylics. I haven't had a chance to come back and review. I do like this. This is the Luminance on top of the Liquitex, because the Liquitex, it has like a kind of like weird shine and a resist in areas. Like it's almost like whatever's in it separates. Even though I shook it and shook it and shook it, it never like combines together. So I end up with this kind of like seepage where some of the paper has got seeping into it and some of it hasn't. And so it gets this really nice effect. So that's what I was experimenting with. That was after our call. And then the day after our call, I did this one, the Kuretake set that I've got, Art Nouveau Kuretake. So I did this, and then actually last night, no, the night before last, in bed, this was with the Pitt oil pencil in a medium soft, and I just used this for reference, and I just kind of sketched a more tonal version, and I enjoyed doing that. And I used to love using, like, I have all these like microns, and I used to love using them, but then something happened and I just never do now. But I do love, I think it's because I discovered color. I used to be like a black and white person. I used to like working with black and white, and then I discovered color, and I'm obsessed with color, so that when I would go back to black and white, it just felt very meh to me. But maybe I need to find a way to combine this kind of like more graphic black and white style with color. This was life drawing. This is the first time in about 12 years that I did live drawing. The model was Naomi, but I really enjoyed it. I haven't done live drawing in about 12 years, so it was a bit new for me. And then this was yesterday, a session on Emma Carlisle's Patreon, a process video replay. Started off really poorly, pencils and a bit Tombow, and then got a bit bolder. I quite like this one, the little guy hanging out by the fire. And then that was the last one. So the whole idea was that you're going on a hike, so you set off on your hike, you're getting up in towards the mountains, you've set up camp for the night, the next day you're going for a walk and you see, I think it's supposed to be a goat, I'm not sure what I did there, and then you reach the summit. So that was like the premise. And then this was sketching in bed last night. You can see I just sketched my hand. I was waiting for David to come to bed and he didn't, so I was like, I'm just going to draw my hand then, and what I did that day. And then today I had to go uptown for hospital appointment for David, and after I went to a coffee shop and I drew this and I did this. So this, I was sat here on the sofa, and this is my view over here, and this is my view this direction. And then that's it. I've got like 2 pages left, maybe 3 actually, but I'm ready for the next sketchbook. I don't have any swatching in the back to show you. So yeah, that is my sketchbook. I really like this one. I feel like I'm finally getting a bit looser with the pencil on the Tombow. But that's my sketchbook from February, March and April. I've got loads of other sketchbooks on the go as well, but I'm not sure any of them are near finished yet, so that'll be a while before you see the flip throughs of those. I think it's interesting looking at, like, this is the first one that I did in February, and you compare it to, let's do the tree, the cheese plant, the last one. Or even if we look for one that is like, you know, Tombow pencil, like these landscapey ones. Do you see an improvement in skill set? What do you see? I would love to know what you see in the comments. Actually, this is a good one, because this was again sitting and drawing what I saw in front of me uptown, and then there's this one and this one. I feel like my style is improving. My style is becoming clearer and my skills are improving. What do you think? I would love to know what you think. Anyway, this is going to be a really long video. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please do give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of the work inside. What was your favourite? Which do you think was a hard fail? Don't be worried about offending me. I appreciate any feedback, criticism, that kind of thing. And I will see you in the next video very soon. Take care. Bye.
Ho, 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 what do you know? You probably should watch another video. Oh, oh. Thanks for watching. Bye.